Wofford is full of history, and each student brings a unique piece when they decide to attend. In honor of the anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic, I spoke with one Wofford student who easily has one of the most notable pieces of history on our campus. You may have seen the movie Titanic, and you may have even heard about it in history class, but you've never heard a story like this one. Bridget Murtaugh's great-grandmother was a third-class passenger on the sunken ship and a survivor.
My great-grandma's name was Catherine Gilna, and she went by Katie. She was later married into the Manning family. She was born on October 29th, 1894 in County Longford, Ireland, and she boarded the RMS Titanic when she was 16 years old as a third-class passenger.
Like many other immigrants, Bridget's great-grandmother came to America in hopes of a better life, but her journey here was a little different than most.
So she was actually alone. Her family could only afford to send one person at a time, and her older sister was already in New York, and she boarded the Titanic for a better opportunity to go meet up with her sister and all the other reasons that people came to America.
You may be wondering how a third-class passenger survived such a historically tragic event. Bridget gives credit to one man on the ship who put others' lives before his own.
She was actually pretty frazzled. As a third-class passenger, they had different barriers preventing the passengers from moving forward and getting onto a lifeboat before a first or second-class passenger. She was with a couple other women named Katie as well, ironically enough, and a man named James Farrell, who she later refers to as her guardian angel, helped her get through a barrier and demanded that the crewmen let those three women through.
As a very religious woman, Bridget's great-grandma did a lot of praying that night, and the prayer book she brought with her remains in her family as a reminder of her faith and as a reminder of the man who helped save her life that night.
Well, as her faith was very important to her, she was a very devout Catholic, she was able to bring her prayer book with her, which she kept the whole time, and the hat of James Farrell, her guardian angel, and we actually have the prayer book in my house now, which is pretty cool. And in 2012, there was a plaque dedicated to James Farrell for ensuring the safety of others on the Titanic.
Just as you would expect, Bridget's great-grandmother learned the value of life after her experience on the Titanic. And although Bridget never got to meet her, she's learned a lot about her from family members who did.
She was the most compassionate person, the most loving person, and she attributed most of everything that happened to her in her life to her faith. And I can't help but wonder where we would be today if things had gone differently that night.
Thanks to Bridget, Wofford has gained some incredible history. And her great-grandmother's story? It's one that will float on forever.